Vatarudo gachan patilita budeva patalai. Vatarudo gachan patilita budeva patalai. Iti pradurvavam Pratipadamuparkanya Siddhaya. Iti pradurvavam Pratipadamuparkanya Siddhaya. Jaya Sindhurabandhu Sakala Jagatam Sindhu Sadayo. Jaya Sindhurabandhu Sakala Jagatam Sindhu Sadayo. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Para Brahma Pida Kuvalaya Dalot Kulanayano. Para Brahma Pida Kuvalaya Dalot Kulanayano. Vasini Ladra Nihita Charano Nanta Sirasi. Vasini Ladra Nihita Charano Nanta Shirasi. Rasananda Radha Sarasa Vapura Lingana Sukha. Rasananda Radha Sarasa Vapura Lingana Sukha. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Navayatse Rajam Nachakana Kamani Kya Vibhavam. Rajam Nachakana Kamani Vyavibhavam. Nayatse Ham Ramyam Sakala Janakamyam Vadavadam. Nayatse Ham Ramyam Sakala Janakamyam Vadavadam. Sadakale Kale Ramata Patina Gita Charito. Sadakale Kale Ramata Patina Gita Charito. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Aratam Samsaram Jugataram Sudapate. Aratam Samsaram Jugataram Sudapate. Aratam Pavanam Nitatim Aparam Yadavapate. Aratam Pavanam Nitatim Aparam Yadavapate. Ahodine Nate Nihita Charano Nishchitamidam. Nate Nihita Charano Nishchitamila. Chitkalindhi Tada Vipina Sangita Kurabo Tada Chitkalindhi Tada Vipina Sangita Kurabo Buddha Biri Nari Vadina Kamala Svada Madhupa Buddha Nari Vadina Kamala Svada Madhupa Nama Sambhu Brahma Marapati Ganesha Chittapado Sambhu Brahma Marapati Ganesha Chittapado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Savye Venam Shivasi Siki Pujam Katitate Mujhe Savye Venam Shivasi Siki Pujam Katitate Ukulam Netrante Samachara Kataksham Vidadate
Hare Krishna and welcome to this evening's presentation on Lord Jagannath's special pastimes on this very auspicious day called Akshaya Tritiya. So I'll speak a little about Akshaya Tritiya. This day is extremely auspicious for many reasons. It is described that on this day Ganesh started writing the Mahabharata while Vyasadeva was dictating. Lord Parshuram appeared on this day. According to the Puranas, on this day Treta Yuga started. The river Ganges descended to the earth from the heavenly planets on this day. It is also auspicious on this day that goddess Annapurna was born, Mother Parvati. It is the first day of creation. Today is the day Lord Brahma started creation 150 trillion years ago. The construction of Lord Jagannath's chariot begins today on Akshaya Tritiya. It is also the beginning of Chandan Yatra for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, where we apply sandalwood paste on the body of the Lord. And these are just few of the events that makes this a very auspicious day. There are many other reasons why it's extremely auspicious. We're not going to go into all the reasons, but it's more auspicious and most auspicious because we are hearing the glories of Lord Jagannath, and this makes it supremely auspicious. Before I share the wonderful pastimes of Lord Jagannath, I'd like to share 5 aspects of the extraordinary mercy of Lord Jagannath. The first aspect of Lord Jagannath's mercy is Lord Jagannath's Rathyatra festival. Lord Jagannath is the only Supreme Personality of Godhead that comes out of the temple and gives his darshan, his audience to all. If we want to see the deity form of the Lord, we must go to the temples. But merciful Lord Jagannath, understanding the situation of the fallen souls, comes out of the temple and gives his audience to everyone. So really the streets becomes the temple, and the worship is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The second aspect of Lord Jagannath's mercy is he gives his darshan, his audience, practically the whole day, and his eyes are wide open. He does not have any eyelids because he does not want to miss any devotee that comes to take his darshan. We find Swayam Bhagavan Krishna and the deities of Krishna, deities of Lord Ramachandra, they all have lotus-like eyes. Lord Jagannath has round eyes that are wide open. So he does not want to miss anyone, and he gives darshan practically the whole day. The third aspect of the mercy of Lord Jagannath is Jagannath Mahaprasadam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the simple process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But Lord Jagannath came as Anabrahma, the Lord who has appeared in this world only to give his mercy through prasadam. And we know everyone loves to honor prasadam. Some people, if you preach to them, you give them spiritual life, and you tell them to chant Hare Krishna, they may not really be interested. But you give them prasadam, they're very, very enthusiastic to accept prasadam. What to talk about Jagannath Mahaprasadam? The potency of Jagannath Mahaprasadam, it is stated in Sri Advaita Prakash. The potency of his Mahaprasad is beyond the conception of demigods. In Jagannath Puri, a Brahmana eats the prasad brought by a Chandala, a dog eater, and if he hesitates, he is soon attacked by severe disease. When a dog eats Mahaprasad, if something falls from its mouth, that is eatable even by the demigods. The potency of Mahaprasad is inconceivable and inexhaustible. Even Sri Ananta cannot understand the extent of his potency. Anyone who takes even a fragment of Mahaprasad is freed from all sins and goes back to Godhead. Nowhere are the glories of Mahaprasad heard as much as they are in Sri Purushottam, Sri Jagannath Puri. So Lord Jagannath Mahaprasad is extremely potent and powerful. The kitchen of Lord Jagannath. The temple has 752 wooden burners, burning stoves, spread across 1 acre in the southeast corner on the left side of the lion gate. 600 cooks and 1,000 laborers work daily in the kitchen. Chilies, onions, garlic, carrots, potatoes, tomatoes, and several other vegetables are not used in any preparations. Every day, a fire sacrifice is performed in the temple. The fire from the sacrifice is used to light the stove for cooking. All the food is prepared in earthen pots. 9 clay pots full of bhoga are cooked simultaneously on one stove. Mystically, the clay pot on the top gets cooked first, and the one in the bottom and directly facing the fire gets cooked last. This is the mystical potency of this kitchen of Lord Jagannath. The locals, they believe, and the Brihad Bhagavatam 2.1.161 confirms that Goddess Lakshmi personally cooks for Sri Jagannath Dev. After the bhoga is offered to Jagannath, it is offered to Vimla Devi, and after this the Mahaprasad is distributed. Every day Jagannath is offered 56 items called Chappan Bhog for his pleasure. 9 rice preparations, 14 sabjis and curries, 9 milk preparations, 11 sweets, 13 cakes, pancakes and patties. Lord Jagannath, he enjoys 6 bhoga offerings per day. And Lord Jagannath has many prasadam pastimes. Then we come to the fourth aspect of the extraordinary mercy of Lord Jagannath. And the fourth aspect is related to those who can actually serve Lord Jagannath. In all other temples, you have to have qualified priests and brahmanas. But in Jagannath Puri, you will find the sabaras. They doing services for Lord Jagannath as well. They are the pig farmers who are considered untouchables, but the Lord accepts service from them. So everyone gets an opportunity to serve Lord Jagannath. We also find during one day of the Rathyatra festival, everyone is allowed to come up on the chariot and embrace Lord Jagannath. Generally, we find in all the temples the deities are on the altar, and only the pujari is allowed to touch the Lord during their service. But during Rathyatra, Lord Jagannath allows everyone to come up on the chariot and to hug Lord Jagannath. It is also described that while you're hugging Lord Jagannath, if you pronounce a wish in the ear of Lord Jagannath, then that wish also comes true. Then the fifth aspect, which is related to today's presentation, is Lord Jagannath's pastimes. And Lord Jagannath's mercy in this aspect is the different types of pastimes that he performs. There are three types of pastimes performed by Lord Jagannath. The first type of pastime is called Garva Ganjan, which means he breaks the ego, the false ego of his devotees or non-devotees. Ganjan means pride or ego, and Garva means pride and ego, and Ganjan means to break. So Lord Jagannath, he performs pastimes to break the ego, the false ego and the pride of those that approach him, devotees and non-devotees. The second type of pastimes that the Lord performs is called Patita Pavan, where he becomes so accessible that he's ready to use his hands and just pick you up. And the third type of pastime is called Bhakta Manna Ranjan, which means he performs pastimes to attract and give pleasure to the sweet hearts of the devotees. Manaranjan. So we're going to share some pastimes, starting with the first type of pastime of the Lord, called Garva Ganjan. And here we find the pastime of the Lord breaking one's false ego. So in 1727, Dhananjaya Mehta, a wealthy man from Hyderabad in South India, came to Jagannath Puri along with his family. Personally, he had no faith in Jagannath and was proud of his wealth. While in Puri, he decided to challenge this strange image made of wood. In the temple, food is generally offered to Lord Jagannath, as we mentioned, 6 times a day. And Dhananjaya Mehta publicly declared he would donate 100,000 rupees to Jagannath if the temple cooks could spend all of it to prepare one offering of prasad. In those days, fruits and vegetables were very inexpensive. Even 100 rupees was enough to buy the ingredients for one offering of bhoga. What would the cooks do with 1,000 rupees? What to speak of 100,000 rupees? Dhananjaya's challenge created a problem for the Jagannath worshippers, and they were undoubtedly sad to see an attitude of on part of the so-called devotee. The priests, they debated, should he be told that such a huge amount is absolutely too much? Should we tell him to give a smaller donation? What would that would be too it would be too embarrassing to ask of him. And they decided that we know Jagannath is great, his temple is majestic, his rituals is mystical and divine. So how can we tell this man to give less just so that we ordinary mortals can handle it? At that time, butter was the most costly ingredient, and the priests, they began to consider whether they could buy enough butter to make large quantities of ghee for cooking, and what type of prasad they could prepare with only ghee. The most delicious and costliest prasad could easily be prepared with butter and coconut palm sweets for 10,000 rupees. But this millionaire from Hyderabad wanted to offer prasad costing 100,000 rupees. The temple cooks could not think of any offering for that value. There was no prasad that could be prepared for that would cost 100,000 rupees. Finally, they decided, let us communicate this problem to Lord Jagannath and let his will prevail. Lord Jagannath is not a man of flesh or blood to be prayed to for a simple response. Let there be dharana, group prayer before him. Nobody can prevail over his wishes. So the head priests arranged a heartful prayer group. Everybody gathered, they prayed to Lord Jagannath, and the head priest also offered his prayer with one pointed attention, and he prayed to the Lord, "O Lord, please choose the food you desire." At the same time, Dhananjaya was anxious to return to his business affairs in Hyderabad. He did not want to stay in Puri any longer, so he asked the head priests to come the next morning to inform him about their decision concerning the prasad. The priest replied that he was waiting for the Lord to give him an answer. That was exactly what Dhananjaya wanted, to see the defeat of the priests. He decided to extend his stay in Puri a little longer. In this sweet way, the Lord was teaching him. 100,000 rupees is insignificant for the Lord who reigns over innumerable universes. In due course of time, the Lord answered the head priest's prayer, speaking to him in a dream. And the Lord said, "Let Dhananjaya offer me one piece of pan, betel leaf. However, the betel nut in the pan leaf must be smeared not with lime, but with the powder of a finely ground pearl. Moreover, this pearl must come from the inside of a bull elephant's forehead." Now, one piece of pan can be purchased with practically no money, very little money. But with this rarest ingredient inside, the cost would be expensive. Immediately, the priest rushed to Dhananjaya and narrated the contents of his dream. And he said that Lord Jagannath wants a mere betel nut, but it must be prepared with the pearl from a bull elephant's head. Hearing this, Dhananjaya's face paled. He thought, a mere betel nut? Nothing more than that? It is said that an elephant is worth 100,000 rupees, dead or alive. How many bull elephants would have to be killed to find one pearl? Not every bull elephant has a pearl inside its forehead. It's a rare phenomenon. Indeed, 1 in a million has pearls in its forehead. Dhananjaya's head reeled, and he had to admit defeat. Because for him to spend or to find this elephant, 1 in a million, he would have to spend millions and millions of rupees. He was incapable of offering even a single betel nut leaf to Lord Jagannath. Unknotting his turban and removing his sandals, he went running to Lord Jagannath with his purse full of rupees. A huge crowd followed, watching the strange sight. The Lord had defeated a millionaire at his own game of rupees and cents. At last, his human pride was crushed, and he sobbed before the deities, reaching out to Lord Jagannath with unrestrained childlike cries. In total devotion and defeated, he prayed, "O Lord, I have made a stupid human blunder, for I am totally incapable of offering you even a single betel nut. What else can I offer? O Lord, pardon me. I am a fallen soul, insignificant before you, but made wise before you also. Everything is yours, and you are everything. Take whatever I have. Please accept only the sweet-smelling red betel nut of my heart." Jai Jagannath Baladeswata Maharani ki Jai. So here we find how the Lord crushed the ego of this millionaire. Then we share another pastime also related in this category of breaking ego. In the 1800s, one British collector of Puri by the name Armstrong questioned a worshipper about the Lord eating. He gave 108 Magaj ladus to the priest in the temple. The pujari offered the ladus to Lord Jagannath and then returned later with all 108 ladus still there. So the British collector doubted Lord Jagannath even further, that how, he didn't eat anything, you brought all the ladus back. And the pujari suggested that that Armstrong actually weigh the offerings each time he presents the offering next time. So next time when he is going to offer the ladus to the Lord, he should weigh the offering, and when the offering is returned, he should weigh it again. So sure enough, that day came when Armstrong wanted to offer again, so he offered 108 ladus again. They weighed the ladus. The priest went, he offered the ladus to Lord Jagannath and came back with 108 ladus. But this time, when they weighed the ladus, it weighed 4 to 5 kilograms less. And Armstrong became a great believer from that time on, that actually the Lord really eats. The next category of pastimes is called Patita Pavan, where the Lord really redeems the fallen souls. Once a Muslim sweet maker decided to offer Lord Jagannath a special sweet. The Lord also desired to have the Kaja sweet, which you see here in the picture. But unfortunately, no one knew the preparation process. So the Lord came into the dream of the Muslim sweet maker and told him what he wanted, that he wanted the sweet, and also instructed the process of making the Kajak sweet. He then asked the Muslim sweet maker to bring to the temple the sweet that the Lord wanted and offer it. So the next day, that Muslim prepared the sweet and brought it to the temple. But as he was about to enter the temple, he was stopped by the guards and was chased out because he was a Muslim. Even after explanation given by the Muslim regarding the Lord's desire, the guards were strict in stopping him. The argument became a big group argument among the Muslim guards and the pujaris. And while the argument was going on, suddenly a black dog came, bit the Kajak sweet, and ran into the temple. The guard and the pujaris stopped the argument and started to chase the dog. In Jagannath Puri, no animals are also allowed, so they tried to stop the dog. So this dog was so clever, it ran up and down from the gate, crossed the temple, into the temple, and finally into the altar and disappeared. The pujaris and the rest of the people were shocked. There was a voice from the altar. It was Lord Jagannath himself. He told that he was the one who wanted the sweet and asked the Muslim to make it. Since he liked the sweet so much and they were delaying it, offering it, he himself came as a dog and took it. Jagannath instructed that kaja be offered to him every day. The best part is that the Lord said, once the kaja is fried and dipped into sugar, the Lord will immediately eat it without waiting for the devotee to offer kajak to him. So now you know one of the most favorite sweets of Lord Jagannath, kajak. Lord Jagannath ki jai. This pastime, which is in the category of Bhakta Manaranjan, very sweet pastimes that the Lord performs with his devotees to melt their hearts, took place in Lithuania in the monastery. The temple is actually called the Monastery of the Holy Name on 20th June 2012. So during one festival in the evening, the caretaker of the deities went to the deity kitchen to make sure that that evening sweets were going to be ready to be offered to their lordships. The pujari who is really a noble devotee, cheerfully said that he was just thinking that it was time to give Lord Jagannath some treats and wanted to find someone who knew what he likes to eat in the evening. And the caretaker said, milk and sweets are good. The pujari was very happy. He said, how wonderful. Jagannath had already organized everything. Milk had already been heated up and the sweets were on the tray. The caretaker glanced at the offering. Everything was arranged accurately and beautifully. And the caretaker left. After 15 minutes, when the caretaker came back into the room, which was connected to the puja room, he went and he opened the fridge, cherishing the hope that he would have got some, he would receive some Mahaprasad from that would be in the fridge. So he opened, and all he could see was a young potato looking at him. At that moment, the pujari called him. The pujari came, and he had a feeling that the pujari would say, what are you doing there? But instead, the pujari called him into the pujari kitchen like a spy. He started to speak quietly. Does this often happen to you? Look at this. And he looked at one of Jagannath's plate that was covered with a cloth from the shelf. He took off the cloth and pointed at the sweets. Look, this plate was at Subhadra Maharani. Can you see? She was eating. On the top lay a sweet that was slightly bitten. He rephrased, does this happen to you? He was worried. The sweet was bitten, and the caretaker looked closely, and sure enough, Subhadra Maharani had actually eaten that sweet, had bitten that sweet. Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Now I like to share pastime of these beautiful deities at Rajpur, near our temple in Mayapur. And we'll conclude with this amazing pastime related to these deities. There are many, many wonderful pastimes of Lord Jagannath. In fact, unlimited pastimes and interactions and reciprocations with the devotees of the Lord. So 500 years ago, at the time of Lord Chaitanya, there lived a very wonderful devotee named Jagadish Ganguly. His residence was in a small village near Mayapur. Although he was advanced in age, every year he would go on a 900-kilometer journey to Jagannath Puri on foot to associate with his master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and take darshan of his beloved Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev and Subhadra Maharani, and participate in all the auspicious Rathyatra festival. On one day, less than a month before his scheduled departure for Puri, Jagadish's plans were foiled. He was stricken with a terrible disease that left him completely blind. Because he was optimistic by nature, this did not dampen his desire to make the yearly Padayatra to Puri. He would no longer be able to see the divine all-merciful forms of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath, that was for sure, but he still could relish the sound of sweet kirtan and discourses by exalted Vaishnavas. His friends and associates, however, they were not so keen on his travelling. They considered the annual pilgrimage too long and dangerous for a blind man and refused to take him with them. Jagadish was heartbroken. His existence in this world became a cause for his constant lamentation and despondency. Somehow he passed his days calling out for the all-merciful Lord Jagannath to be merciful to him. Then one night, Lord Jagannath appeared to his devotee in a dream. The Lord told him that on the following day, when he went for his daily bath in Ganges, a log would touch his head and restore his vision. The Lord instructed Jagadish to take that log to a nearby village and request a certain devotee carpenter there to carve a deity of Lord Jagannath. The Lord also explained that at first the carpenter would refuse to do the work because he was a leper and his hands were very deformed. It was Jagadish's task to convince him to do the service. The Lord assured him that when the carpenter had completed the deity, his leprosy would be cured. At the break of dawn, the next day, Jagadish woke up from his dream and marveled at it. Eagerly, he readied himself for his daily bath. He paid his obeisance to Mother Ganges and then entered the sacred waters. Lord Jagannath's words were quickly proven true. A log touched his head and promptly restored his vision. Enlivened by the Lord's shower of mercy, he took the log and quickly proceeded towards the nearby village. After many hours, and exhausted Jagadish found the leper carpenter, who flatly refused to carve the deity. He showed his deformed fingers and asked his expectant customer, "How is it possible for me to carve the divine form of the Lord with his hands?" An intense exchange followed, each devotee speaking his mind. Finally, the leper agreed to carve Lord Jagannath. Jagadish actually lived with the devotee leper carpenter while he was carving the Lord. He saw him suffering terribly. The blood and pus oozed from the stumps that were once his fingers, and his face was distorted by pain. He wanted to stop this torturous work. Somehow or other, Jagadish managed to convince him to continue and constantly spoke to him the pastimes of his beloved Lord Jagannath to distract his mind from pain. Finally, the deity was completed, and to his amazement, the devotee leper was cured of his leprosy. In great pomp and celebration, Lord Jagannath was carried to the site of the present temple, and he established the worship of their lordships. At a few nights later, Jagadish had another dream. This time, Lord Jagannath instructed him to take some nearby neem wood and request the same carpenter to make the deities of Subhadra Maharani and Lord Baladev. The devotee carpenter was delighted to offer the service, and very soon their lordships were installed with great love and attention by their trusted devotees. But then one day, Jagadish left this mortal world. His beloved deities were neglected. Indeed, Lord Jagannath, Subhadra Maharani, Lord Baladev were completely forgotten, and over time their temple deteriorated, collapsed around them. Some centuries later, a local villager noticed a unique, beautiful blue flower growing on the top of a termite hill. Curious, he ventured closer and was amazed to hear a voice calling, "Please, please give me some water." Quickly he began digging the earth and eager to search out the owner of the voice that instructed and intrigued him. To his utter surprise, he unearthed the beautiful transcendental trio, Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev, and Subhadra Maharani. He was further astonished to see that although the deities had been residing in the middle of a termite hill, their wood was miraculously unharmed. This event happened about 70 years ago. Since then, again, the temple was constructed and elaborate worship continued. In 1978, the aging pujari of the lordships, his health failing, began to worry. He was fearful that history would repeat itself and could not bear the thought of his beloved lords being neglected and inconvenienced again. He decided to offer their property to ISKCON, the Hare Krishna temple nearby. And on Gaur Punim Day of 1978, the most auspicious transaction took place, and a new beautiful temple has been constructed since for the pleasure of their lordships. So there are many other beautiful pastimes related to these wonderful deities. In fact, when the devotees were building the temple, the offerings were not really going on at this temple in Rajpur, but in Radha Madhava's temple, offerings were going on beautifully. And the pujari, he had a dream that the Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Maharani, they actually jumped off the altar and they were running towards Mayapur. And he asked them, why are you running? Where are you going? And they said, well, you're not offering us anything here, and they're having a nice feast there, so we're going there. And the pujari woke, and he actually told His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj the dream, and they realized that actually the deities want chapan bhog. They also want beautiful offerings. So then they started preparing the offerings. So like that, there are many, many wonderful, beautiful pastimes which we don't have time to share. But thank you very much for your time, and we hope you were inspired by these few pastimes of the Lord, and that it deepened your relationship with Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev, and Subhadra Maharani. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Nitai Go Pramanande. Hari Hari Bo.